card check. I don't know how many people understand what card check is. All right, card check's an issue. John Bocherry is a representative who has not only he's a co-sponsor, but he supports it. I don't know how many people understand what card check means, but ultimately, you're taking away someone's right to vote yes or no for a union, and when you take away somebody's right, that is wrong. That is wrong.
It boils down to you don't have the secret ballot.
You don't have the secret ballot, exactly. But let me tell you what's worse than that a lot of people don't realize. It's not just the secret ballot. All right, because if the union does come in, and I don't know how many people realize this, they have 90 days to put a contract together. If you don't put a contract together in 90 days, the federal government has an arbitration panel that comes in and they put that contract together for you. So now you have the federal government coming in to your business and setting up standards. And by the way, they're able to set up standards for time, what time you start, what time you quit, your vacation, everything. Everything's open in the arbitration. That's probably the worst part of that bill. If you think about it, if you really want to get what you want in a union shop, you're going to, first, you have the open vote, so there's no secret vote, and then you're going to wait the 90 days out. And that's the fear, because now the government comes into your business. Some of the other things, I am pro-life. I can tell you I'm pro-life from conception to natural death. I'm also one, and I've talked to a lot of pro-life people recently, but I'm also the only candidate out of all the candidates that can say, now we can all say we're pro-life, but I'm also the only candidate to say that I spent 30 years protecting the lives, not of the unborn, but the natural death. And I spent 30 years in the healthcare facilities doing that. The only candidate that can say that. We can all say we're pro-life. I've actually fought the fight and done the battle. The other thing I will tell you from the standpoint of pro-life, I have a volunteer now that's a strong supporter of mine. She said to me at one point in time, well, I need to vet you. I need to find out if you're truly pro-life. Well, what she did is she went back to my church. I've been a church member at Sacred Heart Church in Wadsworth since the day I got to Wadsworth, and prior to that, it was St. Philip Mary Parish since I was a little boy in Monongahela, Pennsylvania. But she went back and she saw that, of course, I signed the pro-life. I signed. My wife and I both have signed as a signer on the petitions for pro-life every year for the last 10 or 12 years that she could go back. So she said, "You're not just a politician that says it. You supported it both ways, and I have her support now on that." When it comes to the Second Amendment, all right, I don't know about all the other candidates, but I will tell you this: I am for the Second Amendment. I am a life member of the NRA. Now, I don't know if any of the other candidates can say that. I'm also a gun owner for 25 years, and I was also tested in Canal Fulton, and Matt back there can tell you, because I was asked to come in to a shooting range with a number of people in Canal Fulton, and they said, we'll see if this guy really is a gun owner and he can shoot a gun. So they put the targets up. First guy shoots and he hits the target a couple times. Next guy shoots and hits the target a couple times. I will tell you, and Matt can confirm it, not only did I hit the target, but I put pretty much a circle right around the heart. And they guys all said, this guy is a gun owner, and he knows what the Second Amendment's all about. I can tell you that I'm a firm believer in the right to bear arms. But my background also supports that, and my history supports that. With that, I would tell you that what you're going to get with me is a person that not only can tell you these things, but my history will prove it, and my background will prove it. A lot of politicians get involved, and they say, I'm this, I'm that. But what you'll find with me, if you go to my background, you'll find it. The other thing I will tell you, I know this is a Tea Party group, and I always tell people, I'm probably one of the original Tea Party people. And why am I one of the original Tea Party people? When John McCain lost the election in November of 2008, I was very discouraged with the Republican Party, very unhappy with the Republican Party. And I went down to meet with Kevin DeWine. And I did that, and I asked him for a meeting. And I sat down with Kevin DeWine, and I said, Kevin, I said, I'm embarrassed to be a Republican. And he said, why is that? I said, well, first off, here's the things that I believe that Republicans are doing wrong. I says, number one, we have candidates who run and run and run for election. And then all of a sudden, they believe they deserve that spot because they've run for the last 8 years. And when somebody else walks up and wants to run for that spot, they say, wait a minute, wait your turn. You haven't run the last 3 or 4 or 5 times. I have. You need to wait your turn. All right? John McCain's a great example. John McCain, and I told him that, John McCain is a great man. But it wasn't his time to run for president. And we lost an election because we put John McCain in there because we used the scenario that here's a guy who's run before and it's his turn. I told him that's wrong. We need to put people in office who have the background. We need to put people in office who have the experience. And we have to quit putting people in office who just have put the time in. Told him that. I told him another thing that I have a problem with in the Republican Party. We support candidates who really aren't running for a position. They're running for the next position. They're not running for this position, they're running for the next position. All right, that's a problem. We lost the governor's election, quite frankly, because I believe we had 3 candidates, if you look at their background, were all in different offices, but ultimately were trying to be a governor. And I think people realized that. I think people understood that. And that's what hurt Ken Blackwell when he ran for governor. Because everybody knew that he had run other positions, including the other candidates, Betty Montgomery, everybody, they were all running for governor. All right, I will promise you this, Jim Renacci is not running for anything but Congress. And the reason I'm running for Congress is not to go to another position. It's to go in, get the job done, and get out. All right, and but again, I'm the only one that can say that I have a history of that, because when I went into Wadsworth, I told everybody right up front, I'm running for a reason, I'm going to get the job done, and then I'm not running again. Ran 3 terms, 103, and left when I was done. So I told him that, and Kevin said to me at that time, and this is why I say, I think the Tea Party movement's a great movement, because Kevin said to me, Jim, you're right, and we got to make a change, and we got to do some things different. And I do believe Kevin DeWine is trying to go that direction. I will ultimately tell you, though, that there's a process, and ultimately I know that Kevin understands it, so we have to make some changes. Now let's talk about the process. The process to run for Congress is not easy. People can jump in and say, I'm the guy, I'm going to run, but I will also say, I had to learn this process because I'm the only candidate. You might have heard somebody say, well, I am the only candidate that nobody knew 9 months ago. All right, so when I stepped into this position, nobody knew who I was. The chairman of the parties didn't know who I was. Kevin DeWine knew who I was, but he didn't know I was running. He knew I was upset. So ultimately, I had to go door to door. I had to go talk to people, and I had to get their support.